So this is an overview of our T5 timer, and it's pretty simple the way it works. The plater will simply push the button and it counts down. What this timer will do that no other timer does, though, is it gives the platers an early warning. It'll call them over before the end of the cycle. Right there, that's the early warning. So it will sound once and it'll just keep flashing, and then at the end of the cycle it'll go into alarm and it'll start to count up. So the plater just acknowledges it like that and the cycle's done. In addition, let me start another cycle here. You see that there's a relay that comes on, and what this allows you to do is various things. You can flush the tank or make chemical additions. So I'll get into that in a second. So the relay will go off at the end of the cycle. Right there. So what this relay does, there are many different modes built into the firmware of the timer, but what that relay can do is it can dose chemicals at the end of the cycle. So after the cycle is over, like right now, the relay can stay on for some amount of time. If it's to flush a rinse tank, then it can stay on for a long time. And if it's for adding chemicals back to a process tank, like a cleaner tank, maybe you want, if it's a 5-minute dwell, you might want to add chemicals back for 15 seconds, let's say, for example. And so this relay can do that. If it's in the case of a process tank, let me first just illustrate here. So this is a piggyback cord. This is kind of a North American thing. I don't think they have these in other countries, but what we can also do instead is to have a drop cord like this. So you have your main power cord, and then this you would hook up to a pump or a relay. And by the way, this has magnetic mounts, so it can. It's a very secure mounting. So if you have metal tanks, that'll be an advantage. Let me just explain a little bit further, though, about the rinse water saving. So if you have, let's say you have a process tank here, but before the process tank you have some rinses, some counterflowing rinses. And if the timer is located on this tank here, then you would connect a solenoid valve that controls the water going into these tanks. So when the rack goes down into this tank here, the operator would start the timer, but it would flush the rinses that, let's say we're going this way. That's the direction of travel. So after the load has come out of these tanks, the rinses it'll flush the tanks for some time that you set, and which could be half an hour, or it could be 5 minutes, depending on what's required. And that way, these tanks aren't flowing all day long, and it'll only flow when there's work going down the line, and that will save water, and the timer will pay for itself that way.